This is every Easter egg, cameo, and hidden detail in the first 2 episodes of Daredevil Born Again, and I'm letting you know right now, some of these are really gonna shock you. They're setting up something massive for the MCU. And me and you, we gotta talk about it. This is your spoiler warning. You have been warned. This episode opens up on 51st Street in New York, which is where the law firm of Nelson, Murdoch, and Page resides. It's nice to see it finally paid off from the season 3 ending, and not just see it on a napkin, as we're reintroduced to the big three, Matt Murdock, Karen Page, and Foggy Nelson. And I love how they're having a conversation of nostalgia, because this entire moment really feels nostalgic. But I love how Foggy says it's not nostalgia, it's reverence for the past and hope for the future, which is a very not so subtle way of the writer saying, hey, we're in Daredevil Born Again, not the Netflix series. We get reintroduced to Josie's bar, which yes is from the comics, and Matt and Foggy have been coming here since their college days. And it was really cool to see Susan Varen reprise her role as Josie. We get introduced to a Detective Kim and a retiring New York City police officer, Cherry. I'm assuming this is Detective Elizabeth Kim from the comics, and I believe Cherry is an original character because I'm not familiar with this game. But in this show, he works as a private PI for Matt. Now here's where things get really interesting, because on the TV screen, we can see that there's a white tiger who's saving a bodega. There's more vigilantes running across New York City, and this white tiger is actually Hector Ayala. The white tiger was the first Latin American main character in comics history, and the first Hispanic character in Marvel Comics history. He's from Puerto Rico, and he's given superhuman strength by wearing the white tiger amulets, which we actually see later on in the series when Detective Cherry finds this in his home. I feel like most of us are more familiar with his sister, Ava Ayala, who also becomes the white tiger in her own right, where she was heavily featured in the Ultimate Spider-Man animated series, which is where she was introduced to a lot of us. And there was a rumor a while ago that Jenna Ortega could be playing Ava Ayala in the MCU. My man. Yeah, that's right, I didn't stutter. She's gonna dance, dance, dance with her paws. If you left after that, I understand. But don't forget, Jenna Ortega was in Iron Man 3. Thought we would forget. Foggy mentions that he used to work at a law firm called Hogarth, Shaw, and Benowitz, which has to be a reference to Carrie-Anne Moss's character, Carrie Hogarth, from the Jessica Jones series, so there's a Jessica Jones connection. And this is Kirsten McDuffie, who, yes, is a lawyer and love interest to Matt in the comics. I love this detail of how they showcased Matt's echolocation. First, the screen expanded like it was IMAX, and then when he wanted to hone in on a conversation, the aspect ratio of the screen would change and hone in. I thought that shit was tough. That's when we get reintroduced to Wilson Bethel, who plays Benjamin Poindexter, aka Bullseye, and he's actually got the bullseyes on his gloves, on his fists. But they also showed him killing a fly with a paperclip. It's his list, he can't miss. But come on, man, that's gotta be a clear and obvious reference to Colin Farrell's Bullseye. With this new series being titled Daredevil Born Again, it seemed like they were gonna be taking inspiration from Frank Miller's Born Again run. Ha! Where Karen Page is murdered, but instead he shoots Foggy? But Dex purposely lets Karen live just so he can aura form and tell her, hello, Karen, which is a callback to season 3 of Daredevil when they're in the church. But a lot of people miss that Karen had that fucking thing on her. She was ready to Wesley that man. Now my dog Foggy ends up dying, but there is a run in the comics where he fakes his death, and I just feel like I'm coping at this point because ain't no way he's gonna be. No. Now in the comics, Bullseye actually kills Karen, not Foggy, and he kills her using Daredevil's Billy Club, which was the same way that Colin Farrell's Bullseye killed Electra Nachios' dad in the 2003 movie. And in season 3 of Daredevil, they had us worried that he was gonna kill Karen, but they faked us out and killed Father Lantom instead? Not you, Father. You, Father. Father Lantom, who by the way is played by Peter McRobbie, who was in Spider-Man 2. I always find a way to put my goat in there.